All right, we've had so much fun this week giving away some money to our fans through our dollar holla back, but apparently getting some extra cash isn't so easy, especially for us ladies. Listen up. According to Madame Noir, women in the workplace aren't getting the money they deserve because they're reportedly not as assertive as men are when it comes to actually asking for a raise. The article explains that many women are worried about being perceived as difficult or cocky, feeling like they're inconveniencing their bosses, while some are actually afraid they might even lose their jobs just for asking. So ladies, any advice on how to deal with the pressure of asking for a raise as a woman?
Well, talking about your accomplishments is not bragging. You know, that's your accomplishments are your accomplishments. So you know, don't feel bad. If you know you're working extra hours, if you know you're putting in things, you have to put that up front because sometimes they know you're doing it, but you got to let them know that you're doing it. Okay?
That's good advice.
Yeah, definitely. So
I think when I was doing makeovers years before this job, I realized that the number one thing that women didn't recognize about themselves was their worth. They didn't see, women are usually head down and they're taking care of their children, they're worried about how, you know, what they look or how, what meals to put on the table. They're not really putting into the worth that they bring to a company. So if you're going to job interview, I always think dollars holler. If you calculated how much you can bring to the table, that's going to let the company realize what an asset you are. So if you can break down your experience, your education, what you can bring to the table, what actually can change about the company because they're hiring, they will see more worth in you and know that you are foreshadowing what the company can be with you than without you. Does that make sense?
That's great.
So
And I think for us, sometimes it's such an awkward conversation.
Not for me. When I was working as an engineer, I would go in there.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, player, I
Really?
need some more money. All right.
Yes. You guys, I am so terrible at stuff like this. Like sometimes I think if there's somebody maybe that you're more comfortable with, whether it be a supervisor, if you're genuinely, like me, super uncomfortable talking about money and just, I sometimes it's not a good thing. This is a bad thing, which I'm sure a lot of women can relate to. Sometimes I'm just happy that I have a job. And I'm like, God, thank you just for the opportunity, which is not the mindset to have.
Exactly.
But you have to be honest, there are people that think that way, myself included at times.
Well, in the working world, too, in corporate world, there usually is a time when you have a review. That's a good time to talk about, let's talk about money. While they talking about your, you know, especially if it's a good review. If it's a bad review, I'll say, hold up. But
exactly.
if it's a good review, you know, you do have the right to ask your boss, well, let's talk about my pay. How can I get a raise? What can I do to get a raise? When do you think I could get one? Those are the type of questions that you could ask. What you should not do, I would recommend, is don't complain. Don't say, I hate this job or this job I can't afford.
That ain't
or
it.
don't talk about nobody else. Don't compare somebody else's pay with your pay. That's not right. Keep it about you.
That's
About
great.
you.
That's great.
But I think you guys said it.
The only thing I was saying was, in my awkwardness, sometimes I think if you have, like, if somebody is giving you a review, whether it be your supervisor that maybe you have a closer, more intimate relationship with, I don't think it's a bad idea to maybe ask that person, hey, do you see me? Maybe not the head boss, don't walk up to that person's office like, hello, it's me, I'd like a raise. You know, like, it's okay also if you are slightly intimidated to maybe ask someone that you're not that intimidated with, hey, how do you feel about me going about the raise? Can you ask if I can get the raise? I work under your department. You're my supervisor.
The uppers and the people around you that work with you aren't always your friends, and they may not always root for you the way you would root for yourself.
Right.
Like, I remember when I was working at the counter, at a MAC cosmetics counter, I was just selling lipsticks and lip liners. But then slowly, I started noticing that I knew how to draw an audience, and I could do makeup really well. And when I was doing makeup, I could talk clearly. And so when I was talking and teaching makeup, I started to draw a crowd where 5, 10, and then 20 women would sit, watch what I'm doing, and then buy what I was selling. So then I was like, yo, I know how to draw an audience. I know how to teach makeup. Why don't I turn this out into something bigger? So I developed a plan for that area called Mac Out Loud, where I asked them all to give us a stage. I went on stage with a microphone and taught other artists that
I
were
need
great to use the
videos of this.
microphone.
That's amazing.
No, seriously. And then I took that. I went to the boss, who really wasn't my friend. She was a kind of a low-key hater, if I'm honest. And I said, yo, I know that when I work here, your sales go up 18% when I'm here. So let's put this in a year. How much would that bring into your business? How can we put that into a salary? How can you make me make you look good? And we all look good because Mac grows.
That's right.
How did that work out for you?
I became the youngest hired trainer in the Northwest region for MAC Cosmetics. Valley Fair, thank you.
That's
Okay.
You guys pretty much said everything. Honestly, I learned from my mother. My mother was my manager for a very long time. And till this day, I'm never afraid to ask for a raise because I saw her do it before me. Exactly what you said, Jeannie, is on point. You have to make sure that you do your research about what you bring to the table. Why is this company and why do they benefit? Because you are there. Yes. Another thing is you have to put in the work.
Yeah.
You have to put in the time. You know, you can't ask for a raise and then be lazy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And sometimes it can take some years. And then also, my mom also taught us to have a backup plan.
That's right.
One thing that you said was really true is know your worth.
Yes.
Once you know your worth and you see what you actually bring to the table and they don't want to give it to you, you can say, thank you very much. I've got a backup plan. I'm going to another job. But you have to get to a place that you know that you know that you know that you know and that you've done and that you've done and that you've done that you've done that you know you deserve that raise.
That's
and
great.
this is the thing. Typically in a lifetime, women earn $500,000 less in a lifetime than a man. So we have to fix these raises. We have to fix these pay scales, things like that. All these discrepancies that's happening between men and women and the genders. We have to fix that because it's just not fair. So we work on it.
Yes, well, here's something that's raised a few eyebrows. Recently, a 10-year-old boy and his girlfriend were kicked out of a restaurant for being on a date. That's right, the restaurant said they were too young to dine there without adult supervision.
Whoa.
The story was covered on ITV's This Morning show and sparked a fierce debate on how young is too young to date. One of the moms interviewed on the show was strongly against kids that young dating because she was strongly against kids young dating because she felt that it could only lead to romance and eventually sex. So what do you guys think about that?
You the mama.
Well, I think it's,
Does this scare you thinking about Araya?
honestly, as a mom, I don't want to think about that right now. I know my mom was really strict. T and I couldn't date until we were 18. But I remember being in it. I used to see all the young kids dating, and I would be jealous. But by the time I was focused on my career, myself, by the time I was 18, I had already had my own show for 4 years. So now looking back, I'm like, thank you so much, Mom. Thank you for being strict.
protecting me.
Yes, for protecting me. But my son, it's crazy because he's 5. And he already has a little play girlfriend. Oh. But I ask questions. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, are you guys just friends? Or what does it mean, to have a girlfriend? And he was like...
How does he view it?
Yeah, how does he view it? Oh, my gosh, you guys. First of all, these girls are grown nowadays. Oh, my gosh. He has 5th graders going after him, you guys. He's in kindergarten. When he walks on the campus...
He cute.
These little... I know, but there's these 5th graders. They literally... I'm holding my son's hand, and they come over, and they're like... bypass me, by the way, and go, hi, Aiden, how are you?
Cute.
He is cute.
Okay.
That's Mama Bear right there.
Yes, but I did ask him, and he said, well, when they're 44, they want to get married. I don't know why that number.
Yeah, right.
And then he said he wants to buy a big house and move to New York.
Oh,
and I'm
he's
like,
driven.
okay, he's really thought about that. But I think as long as I keep it playful, I'm never going to let my child date that young, period. And if I am going to have him go out with this girl, I'm going to have him go out with a couple of other friends, and I'm going to chaperone.
Are you
that
gonna
makes no
make
sense.
him wait till they're 18?
Until he can really, really date, I would say 16.
Okay.
16.
Okay. Yeah. See, I wish Mama Mai and my dad were as cool as you because my mom, she was, if you asked her when I could date, she would have said 30-year-old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's not cool. And so what happened is, honestly, pre-Jesus Jeannie, I was very curious. I was a flirty little birdie.
Okay.
And I like boys at a young age. I had a boyfriend in kindergarten, and I just liked the flirtatiousness.
But you weren't dating, though.
I wasn't dating.
When you say boyfriend in kindergarten, just
It's
clarify
playful.
what that meant to you.
His name was Clarence, and I liked him a lot.
And what did you do? Kiss, hold
no.
hands?
I ran and chased him all over the yard, and he was always scared of me. He was always like, ah!
Okay, there we go.
But here's my point.
That
My
makes
point
sense.
is there's
Yeah.
an emotion there that's real within Aiden and within little Jeannie at the time, and it will evolve. But when my parents forbid me to date, that led me to seek that curiosity by myself, and I didn't like that because what ended up is having to learn mistakes on my own, doing things that maybe weren't safe for me, and now I know better. And thank God you were steering me, Lord. You protected me.
I think.
But I think parents, if you can just talk to your kids, I think Aiden is safe, and a 10-year-old, if they're wanting to go on a date, asking those questions for sure at that time.
Yeah.
If Aiden's going out on a date at 10 years old or asking to, ask him why. What
Okay,
for? What are those things,
Yeah,
This
no.
Auntie Lonnie.
Yeah.
Have a date at the library. Do that, okay? Instead of 10 is too young. What's that?
Yeah.
5th grade, 6th grade? Worry about your books and your study.
Yeah.
To me,
Maybe fourth grade.
I know,
Those
but
are the
Who lets
developmental
their kids
years.
be alone at 10 years old?
Because
In a
they think
restaurant.
I would never
See, that-
leave my child
Yes.
alone in a restaurant at 10 years. I don't even have a child yet, and I wouldn't leave it alone in
And that's
a
what I'm
restaurant.
saying.
At 10 years old, 10 years old is really, really
Exactly.
young.
And that's why I'm glad that the restaurant did what they did, because
Yeah.
they would be held responsible if somebody comes in and snatch up them babies
Yeah.
and takes them. So I don't blame the restaurant
Yes.
for doing
Yeah.
that.
Even if you're going on play dates, which are like obviously kid friendly.
Yeah.
I think one, it should be done in a group environment. It
Yes.
should never be one-on-one. And two, I think it should always be supervised by parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always.
That's the
Like at
difference.
10 years old, why are the two of you just by yourselves? That's
Absolutely.
weird.
Now, speaking of going out, clothing retailer Under Armour has put a stop to certain company outings. Going to strip clubs, y'all.
That was a company
This
outing?
is for real.
Yeah, I'm
the
confused.
employees were recently notified that they could no longer use their corporate cards to expense strip clubs, gambling, and other adult entertainment outings.
What the heck?
It was reported that the women who work at the company found out about these outings, and they found them demeaning and inappropriate, and feel that they deserve to work in a respectful and empowering environment.
Oh my God, them guys were so mad at those ladies for
Yeah,
bringing that
for
up.
sure.
That's
Yeah.
number one. They're like haters.
Wait, am I the only one who thought that you can't even expense alcohol, let alone go to a strip club?
Yeah, this is
What
adult
company is this?
entertainment.
I didn't even know they were doing that.
Well, they can expense
That's
it as
crazy.
a lunch. That's what it is. They can expense the food.
Oh,
as a
booty
lunch.
clapping, like lunch?
But you
What?
can't. But if you're tipping, you can't. There's no way to expense that. But you can expense.
Just
back
the
in my
lunch?
day.
What if they're like tipping and doing all that?
That's something separate. So what I believe this has started actually. I think this started because of the rappers. The rappers were spending a lot of money at strip clubs, and they still do, and they
Okay.
wanted to be able to write it off on their taxes. So this is a thing that's been happening.
Well, Under Armour
for a
is
while.
a corporate company. It's not. They're not
Well,
rappers.
I mean, businessmen do business at
But
the
how
strip
can you
club.
do business at a strip club? I would be looking like, oh my God, like.
Well,
like,
if
stay focused, girl.
If you
Yeah.
have a client that you're trying to motivate, you might take them to show so that they can have a good time if they're out of town or something like that. That's the kind of things that happen. It's like taking them golfing or something like that.
Oh, okay.
That's
That's
a
how they look
whole
at it.
other kind of
Yeah.
situation.
That's crazy.
Things
Yeah.
flying around different.
Well, let's think about it. So, a corporate card is supposed to be used for the environment or the entertaining of talking about company business,
Right,
business deals,
right,
right?
yeah.
right.
So, by applause, audience, could you talk about business affairs at a strip club?
No,
That's the women. Okay, let me hear from the
I know.
men. A round of applause from the men.
Keep it
in
real,
the
men.
audience.
Girlfriends, I
if
don't know.
you think you could expense at a strip club, guys,
They're not.
You know what I hear right now? I hear the fear of men sitting
Yes.
next to their wives.
Yes, and their girlfriends.
Let me
Oh,
tell
my
you,
God.
I also think it makes a big difference that now Steph Curry is the face of Under Armour.
Yeah.
I don't see how you should go
No,
in for this.
no,
I don't
no,
see
no.
it happening.
Right, right.
When they ain't doing business with him in a strip club. I don't see it.
No.
Well, I don't think it's him. It's more the people, the salespeople, and people like that that's
Again,
doing
like,
business. You know.
How, what am I pitching you in a
No,
strip
you sitting
club?
there, you going, hey, well, what about this? Hey, look at that.
No, I just think it's.
Okay, I'm just gonna say
This
this.
is what I think. I think do your business lunch, charge that to the
Yeah,
corporate
yeah.
card.
No, there was
Charge
a,
that to
a
the
hood.
company. To the company.
Guys, it was
Expensive.
a hood phrase I was looking for. Charge that to the game. It was so
Okay.
old school, sorry. Charge that to the game, and then after you finish with that, go charge on your own credit card the strip club.
They do that
Yeah.
now. That's what I'm saying. But
Just
they're trying to
separate
get,
it.
they're trying to get everything included as an expense.
Well, I'm
That's
glad
what it
they
is.
actually
Yeah.
brought this to an end.